Hey guys, sorry for the camera kind of like focusing in and out. I am trying to remedy that. But I just wanted to address this comment. I know it's been a few days. We have a sleep regression, acid reflux, CMPA explosion over here at our house. So, uh, making any kind of content is very, very difficult right now. You can see I didn't, get dressed up for it. PJs. So, can you talk about what one can do if the person who you want to help doesn't want the help, even if you paint their future in black and white, and all you get is pushback or worse? What do you do? The option of leaving is there, but that would only feel like I gave up. I feel like my hands are tied, helpless, and hurt, but most of the time I worry less about my feelings and more for that person because I know my feelings are much less of a problem than theirs. Gave me chills. Reading that out loud, ooh, gave me chills. So, first off, your feelings are definitely not less important, not less valid um, than theirs, any of that. Just because that addict doesn't have the coping skills to handle constructive criticism or anything in their lives does not make your feelings less valid. I want to make that very clear right now. Your feelings are actually more valid than their feelings are because their feelings are wrapped up in the psychosis of not sleeping, not eating, not not using for months at a time unless they are dope sick or fiending or what have you, which in itself is a whole nother thing within the mind. So if anything, I would definitely say that your feelings are more valid. As rude as that sounds. Um, in my personal experience, I have a two-time rule. Okay. The first time that you help somebody get into rehab, I really don't like forcing anyone into rehab. There's no point. If they're not ready, it's not going to do anything except for take away that chance possibly at that rehab in future recovery attempts. A lot of places have a cap on how many times you can go. They may not tell you that outright. They may not even tell the family members that outright. But after 3, 5, 8, 10 times, people just don't care anymore. And that's just the hard truth of it. The people at the facilities, the people in your life, the people around you that see you on the streets and see you struggling every day, they're like, you're not trying, and that's a completely valid thing for them to feel because I wasn't trying for a long time. I didn't try on purpose for a long time though, because I knew that I wasn't ready. I had a lot of people, a lot of people coming out there and giving me every opportunity to get sober. Not like family members or people that mattered to me. That sounded mean too, but I'm just saying, it was like strangers at the time. I later got to know them very, very well. They are all very good friends of mine now over at the Idea Exchange, but at the time, it wasn't somebody that I knew. It wasn't somebody who had any kind of emotional place in my heart. So I don't think that that's really needed. I think that the only thing that's needed is the willingness from the addict to change. And until you have that willingness, you have nothing. My suggestion is to not enable, is to set your boundaries, not see them when they're high, not allow them to come around when they're, in that state of mind whatsoever. Not financially enabling them and just letting them experience the consequences of their own actions because the longer that you shelter that addict, the longer it's going to take them to get sober. And I wasn't sheltered, okay? Um, from wow, yeah, from that first time, my very long long ago now ex shot me up. I was homeless. I didn't have anybody helping me. You know, I did what I had to do. I turned tricks and everything to support my habit, to feed myself, to clothe myself. It wasn't until I moved down to Florida that things actually got exponentially easier because people drive out there with cars full of food and clothes and hand out money, and it's warm. I started my homeless journey in Maine, where it was freezing cold, and if I stopped moving at night in the winter, I would die, uh, just freeze to death. So, and even with that, it took me 6 years before I was even ready to give it a chance. Okay, so thankfully the pediatrician called, making me stop for a moment, and I realized I had started to ramble anyway. So back to my two-time rule. Um, Two-time rule for rehab and all that. First time, you can't base anything off the first time. We all have different personalities. You have the person who is just way too shy and ashamed of themselves to really put themselves out there to really get the help from it that they need the first time around. You have the dating site people who think that it's straight up just to go in there and get it on and leave out with a new boyfriend or girlfriend to go use with. And then you have me, who needs to test every single boundary and make sure that even one person in that facility actually cares about her, and just is a complete asshole until they go through the program and learn to be a better person, you know? Um, but the first time around is it's just not a good way to base whether somebody wants to get sober or not. The second time around is where I say either you get serious or you get gone. Like, don't waste people's time. If that person is in rehab and they're just, oh, I got another boo, or, they're starting problems and they want to fight this, that person and that person and over petty bullshit, or, any of those things, then you clearly don't have your life, your future, your recovery, your kids, your whatever on your mind. You're not ready to even start doing the work, in my opinion. Um, and all that does to you holding on all that time, because trust me, 100%, that addict is not thinking about you and about, oh man, I failed rehab. Oh, I feel so bad. Like, no, they are out using. They don't care. They're not thinking about it. The only time they might be thinking about it is when they call to ask you for money or to bail them out of jail or to cover for them because they did something. You know, Addicts are shitty people. I was a very shitty person, and it took a lot to come to terms with it. My amends took a lot. Um, but it's not something that I can take back. It's not something I would take back. It's made me who I am today. And, all you can do is pray for that person and just be there when they're ready. That doesn't mean you have to stay there the entire time. Oh my gosh, it doesn't. You don't have to put yourself through that. You don't owe them anything, and your life is more important than anyone else's life. You you can't even be there for them in the end if, say, you're an addict, a recovering addict who's trying to still help their their boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, or son, anybody. Your life has to come before theirs, because if not, you may not be there to help them when they are actually ready. And I think that's all I got. I hope I covered it all. I hope y'all don't hate it too much, and I love my fellow addicts. I do. I just, I have, I have just enough sympathy. Give credit where credit is due. And until then, don't.